So my name is Abubakr Dumbuya. I am an investment banker by trade, and I'm the founder of Fambul, which is a digital platform for the Sierra Leonean community. We build digital tools and resources to help the community connect, collaborate, and learn.
Diversified game. Learn how to start, run, and sustain your business.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, you guys are in for a real treat. I met Chief Abubakar at the Sierra Leone conference hosted by Vicky. And Vicky's conference in DC was a beautiful conference. But my thing was, I gotta follow up with people. I'm the king of follow up. So, and this brother, this is what I told my wife. You guys can ask her. Ask Dr. Tina when you see her. And I told Saleh this too. And I know you know Saleh Abubakar, Saleh Shamika. I said, this brother has to have money. The way he carries himself. I said, I didn't know what he did, but the way he carried himself, and he was so kind, and just, and his African wear was on point. You guys know I love my African wear. So I said, this dude knows something about some money. And he told me I could have my book, London and Sydney Explore the World, the series. He told me I could have it on the website. So I had to follow up with him. But Abubakar, welcome to Diversified Game. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm glad I caught you, after Eid. I was bothering you even during Ramadan, and I know, I apologize, but I had to do it. Can you give us the game on Fumble, why you created this, what it's about, and even how Sierra Leoneans can get their movies, their books, and other projects and businesses on the website?
Yeah, absolutely. So, maybe about 10 years ago, I was traveling internationally. I was in Spain. And one of the things that I like to do when I'm abroad is I search for where African restaurants are. One, because I like my African food, but also it'll give you a sense of where the community is located, right? So you see like a cluster of African restaurants somewhere, and you'll, kind of know where the immigrant population, might be. So I did that in Barcelona, and I actually found a restaurant that was Sierra Leonean that was right in the middle of Barcelona. It's closed now, but I went to the restaurant. I sat down with the chef, ate some cassava leaf, some patata leaf. I was amazed. I ordered both, and it really got my mind thinking like, wow, there's a lot of Sierra Leoneans like all over the world probably doing amazing things. A lot of us left the country because of the war. And then we have the next generation that was born in other countries that are just doing awesome things. So I got the idea of putting together a directory to help us find each other. All right. So the idea was, hey, if you're going to Spain, I want to be able to go on a directory and find people who are there who are Sierra Leonean who may have a shop or restaurant, so I can go and support the community. During COVID, I started to build this out. A lot of indoor time, social distancing. So I built the business directory out. And then I was like, okay, well, I also want to know what events are happening. So we also built an event directory, an event calendar on the Fambul website. And then I really like reading books about Sierra Leone or by Sierra Leoneans, and also watching films Sierra Leoneans or about Sierra Leone. And so I built out a literature and film library. And the goal ultimately is to have on this library every book or every film that's ever been done by a Sierra Leonean or about Sierra Leone. I want my sister to be able to go on there and find a children's book for her daughter super easily. All right. There's a bunch that are out there by non-Sierra Leoneans, but if there's some that are tailored to Sierra Leoneans, that would be amazing. Especially given that we have, these new generation of children who are of Sierra Leonean descent, don't necessarily know anything about Sierra Leone or haven't been there. And then also people who may have traced their ancestry back to Sierra Leone and want to learn about it. Well, why not give your kids a Sierra Leonean book instead of, some other random book that may be out there? We built out these tools onto the platform, and then we also started to do events just to get people together, which has been really cool. And then, there's a lot of other things that I want to build into the platform. Next, I want to turn it into an app. I want to have some travel resources on there. Right now, there's a travel guide for anyone that's traveling to Sierra Leone, but I want to build a booking tool. I want to build basically a diaspora services app. So anything that anyone from the diaspora wants to do, they can just come to Fambul and just easily do it there. They'll have, the technological ease, but then all the vendors that we have on there will also be trusted people who, if you utilize them for a service, they're going to deliver. So that's the ultimate long-term goal.
And that's awesome. And when people hear that, like myself, they say, okay, now I want to bother you. We have all these new Sierra Leoneans. And of course, you already had mentioned folks who have traced their ancestry back. How do they go about submitting to get on? What is the vetting process? And is there any cost to it?
Yeah, so it's absolutely free to be on the directory. What I actually did is I hired someone to go out and find all the Sierra Leonean businesses that were out there and add them to the directory. But you don't need to wait for us to add you. You can actually go to the Fambul website, create your own individual profile. And then once you have an individual profile, you can create a directory page. Think about it like a Facebook page where you can have like your own individual profile, but then you can create a page for a business. So you can create a page for your business or your brand and have it on there. Same thing for an event and same thing for a book or a film that you have. So a lot of times I'll just do it for people just to make it easy, but the full functionality is on there to do it yourself.
Okay, so if you guys have any issue, you can call whatnot. Because I thought there was something. I was like, and maybe things have changed since. It's like maybe there's something else that you have to do now. When you create something like this, and again, I'm old school just because I'm old. I've been doing this 20 years, and I can even remember when we had an online radio, and our only competition was like Yahoo Music and Live 365. We turned our computers into servers in Grambling. And I thank one of my mentors for showing Rich Boy and I how to do that, Brandon Richardson. I appreciate you. But when you do this, is there any way that we can support Fumble? How can we help you grow this? Because of course, people like myself want to be seen. We want to be in the mix, but how do we help you grow? And is there any advertising coming down the way that we can support?
Yeah, absolutely. So the advertising is coming. I think the two things that you can do to support right now are number one, create an individual profile for yourself and leave reviews for businesses that are on there that you are familiar with, right? What I want is to, I'm letting anyone create a business, and how we're going to sort through the good businesses and the bad businesses are through the reviews that are on there, right? So just like you would see on Yelp. If there's a business that you love or a business that you haven't had a great experience with, leave a review on there. I ask everyone to go online and leave a review for 10 businesses, right, that you're familiar with. And that'll help make the platform just more beneficial for everyone. And then the second thing you can do is buy some merch, right? So one of the things that we've done is we've created, a Fambul clothing line, and we have some really cool items on there. The entire Fambul platform is self-funded, right? And so there's no charge to be on there. It's all free for users and for businesses. And then the hope is that we can sell some merch, and that'll help offset some of the costs, to run the platform. And then ultimately, as we build it out more, we'll start to think about other ways to generate revenue. So those are the two things. Number one, get on there and leave reviews. And then number two, go on the website and buy some merch and represent Sierra Leone.
Now let's do some house cleaning before people, again, I always look at what myself as, put my PR hat on in the marketing. When you sign up, you can sign up through Google, and some people have, like myself, various Google Gmail accounts. If they sign up, is there a way for you to sign up personally and then add your business, or do you need to have a personal one and then one for your business? Because let's say I have various businesses. Is every business, like if I want to put my books, or if I want to talk about movies, or if I want to talk about consulting and PR, something that every business needs, what's the best way to navigate that? Because I don't want to flood your servers, and I don't want to just, have accounts that aren't always going to be monitored.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you sign up, create one account that's your personal account using like Google or Facebook or LinkedIn login, right? And then once you do that, under that individual account, you can create different pages for all the businesses that you have.
Okay. That's clean. And then it goes to one place, and then you
Exactly.
can see when people are interacting with you. You know, you being a finance guy, is this, you know, I know it was a labor of love, but you know, when you're in finance and you see the VC and the angel deals, is this something later down the line that you're going to allow vultures, I mean, venture capitalists or angels get in?
Probably not in terms of Fumble. We'll see how it builds out, but I think before I build it out, I need to do a lot more listening, a lot more learning about the community and from the community to understand what they actually need. I think there's a difference when you turn it from like a passion project to a business, right? As a passion project, I can build the things that I want to see. But if it's a business, then it's not necessarily about me. It's about, well, what does the community want? What does the community need? So I think there's a lot of engaging the community that I need to do before I turn it into a business. So that's down the line. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I need like a clearer vision of what the economic opportunity is before I go down that path.
Well, usually with, you know, apps and portals, I like to call them, because we all need our own portal where, you know, we can't keep making Instagram rich by posting pictures and you're not getting even a penny or half a penny. And
Yeah.
so we all need our own portals. And when I think about, you know, if you had even half of the new Sierra Leoneans on there who are looking for investments there, and you have the vetted investments that, you know,
Yeah.
we were talking about off air, that would be a great thing. And so when you have that group ready, because I love everyone to control their own stuff, I like to play like a little part of it. I'm cool with that little part, that one seed and grain of sand, because I can share that with the group that I was telling you on WhatsApp. But I think about, I just learned this at my board meeting for Palm Beach State College. I met Chris, the CEO of raisinglink.co, and the way he had the interface for, if you were a startup or you wanted to do it like an incubator, if you want to be a startup, you put your information in, really simple, might take you maximum an hour, he said, but they try to lower it down. But the way the interface is, it shows you where you are if you're investable and what you need to work on. And again, this AI is great, but I'm part of venture funds and we don't have that type of software for some of those places, not as clean as he had it. So I'm going to send you raisinglink.co and you can check it out. But I think like they're just doing this like a nonprofit as well. They're just trying to help and they mentor entrepreneurs. But of course, we know, and the scriptures tell us, you know, money answers all things. We need funds to grow this and let people know what's going on. So I was just wondering how we do that, how we help you, because you're helping me right now by giving us a space, and I get to share it with that group too. But you know, I love it. I love it. Being a finance guy though, how do you turn that off? Like, is it greed good? Isn't that what Gordon Greco said in Wall Street, the original? Like, how do you turn that off? And like, I'm just going to do this for the love.
Yeah, absolutely. So just going back to like the VC component of it, like similar to you, I also am part of different venture funds, invest in different startups, different businesses. And I think that, you know, I want to be a part of growing that community in Sierra Leone. And I think there's a couple of different ways to do it. The path that I want to go down is I want to work with companies that have the ability to sell goods and services internationally. And step one is going to be setting up an incubator or an accelerator rather to help these entrepreneurs develop their businesses, develop financials, develop a marketing strategy, a sales strategy, and start to actually sell internationally. And then the goal is, you know, we're helping these people provide an income for themselves. And when they're ready to scale, we can also have a VC fund that's there that is working, that is investing in these companies to help them get to, you know, the next level. And I like that methodology because number one, when you're coming as an investor, you're going to have these companies that have gone through this accelerator. And so that de-risks the investment to a certain extent, right? us in the accelerator, we're going to get to know these people, understand their work ethic, understand what drives them, understand their values, understand how they are as a business person, understand, whether or not they have what it takes or willing to put in the work, the dedication to get to that next level. So that accelerator, could be a not-for-profit accelerator that's really just helping them get to a steady state where they can sustain themselves and have an organized and developed business model. And then when they're ready to scale, that's when we'll have, some outside investors come in and really take them to the next level. I love all of that, and Fambul. I think there's going to be an iteration of Fambul in the near future that is working with these companies to help them. But it's going to be two steps. Number one is help them, get organized through the accelerator. And then number two, invest in them. So in terms of, my finance self, I think greed is definitely good. I've been fortunate. I've been blessed to be, in a space where I'm able to, realize a lot of my potential from an academic perspective, from a professional perspective. And that, all of that is great. And I want other people to also have that opportunity. I want them to be greedy, right? And ultimately, if they have the opportunity, there's going to be enough money for, everyone to be made if you're investing in these companies and all of that. But in order to even get to a point where they're investable, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get them, sort of organized and develop business models. And there's a lot of Sierra Leoneans in the diaspora that have the skills to help these companies. And so that's a big part of Fambul is we're developing this diaspora network of, leaders, entrepreneurs, creatives, and we're bringing them all together to, one, get to know each other so they can help each other, but then also think about what we can do back home when we put our heads together.
Let's have a teachable moment for a whole nother. I don't get to do this with a lot of people in our space, but like when you watch things online, and if you do, maybe you don't watch the junk, but to me, everybody on social media is rich. They're an investor. They're six figures. They're everything. And I look at it, and I'm like, I'm looking at people's, my clients who really are comfortable. And some would say, you do six figures a month and you'd be considered, rich, but you also are paying people out. What is your thought in our age bracket of everybody being everything? Because I've seen even rich in Sierra Leone, right, online. The videos, they got everything looks good. And then you go to their family house and there's the tin roof, right? There's, no pavement. And I'm like, this is not just an American issue. When you travel enough, you're like, people are fronting. I'm in South Africa, people are fronting, and it's always been like that since at least I've been alive. So what is your thought as a financial guy? Because of course, people probably think, you are the walking money tree when they see you, especially in Ceylon, but even here in America. What's your thought on this, thing of everyone's a rich, everyone's an investor? I don't hear everybody saying they're going to retire, though. I don't hear anybody, talking about that in the space of, those same type of six-figure talks online.
Yeah. It's I think generally my perspective is that everyone's probably much broker than they look, right? People can front on social media and portray themselves to be something that they're not. Absolutely. There really needs to be just a focus on some of the things that you're talking about, which is, yeah, okay, you may have income, but like, what are your savings, right? Like when the rainy day comes, which it inevitably will, how long are you able to sustain yourself, for? And even myself, I've gone through periods where, I've lived a great lifestyle, but then I take a step back and I'm like, ooh, okay, like if something happens, like I actually need a little bit more cushion. So let me take a step back and focus on saving and getting myself together so that I'm prepared for this, right? And I think you also have to kind of know what your personal disposition is. I can spend money with the best of them, right? I love all the nice things, but I also love investing, right? I love being part of projects. I love investing in real estate. And so I make sure that I stay pretty balanced, right? So I'll go on the nice vacation and enjoy myself. I'll go out to the nice dinner, But then I also make sure that I'm, buying this rental property and doing this. So I maintain balance there so that, in the long run, I end up in a good place. So there's nothing wrong with enjoying it. I think the key is about balance, but you definitely can't get focused on what other people are doing. The people who have real money are not trying to show everybody that they have money. They're trying to hide it, right? It's the people who have recently just got money for the most part, that are being flashy and trying to flaunt it. But real wealth is wants to stay off the cameras.
Oh, they don't even want to be on social media, and try to get them to do an interview. It's taboo and forbidden in many, it's kind of like Al Heyman. Al Heyman, and I begged his friends not doing an interview because he's not liked. And I don't, even though he has so much game. And how did you turn Mayweather into a billionaire? Because he's the brains behind the operation as an advisor. And I get it, because my OGs tell me you talk too much. But I said, no, I gotta give the game. I gotta give the game. And these people are talking about Turo plays and Airbnb on Burn Your Leisure podcast, but I've never heard them once talk about a DBP plan. I've never heard them once say, go call Empyrean and set up this, thing. So, this can be set up and your healthcare can be set up. I don't hear that. I just hear about buying things, and I might be morbid, but I look at business like this is the last day that we have to do it. But we also have to plan, at least for me, another 77 years to get to 120. Like, we have to plan. So all these things are just things. When you can buy a shirt in Africa for $5, I don't have to go to Saks. I don't have to go to Neiman Marcus. So I don't know. I look at things differently. I'm an alien. I'm a weirdo, but I love it. Besides Fumble, and it's such a big thing, but it's my signature question, so I have to ask it. Besides this, or maybe the next generation of something you haven't told us, what is a community give back that you are doing or that you would like to do?
It's funny. I was back home at the end of Ramadan and for Eid, and so that actually got my mind sparking a lot. Like, one of the things I want to do is get more involved in mosques that I grew up in back home, and then also the local mosque here in Brooklyn where I live, to work with some of the young kids who are there, that have aspirations to do different things to help them out, right? I have fond memories of growing up in the mosque, and I think if you're trying to raise, children, having that network, that community there is helpful. And it doesn't always have to be just to go and read, the Quran or learn Arabic. If there's some kids there that are passionate about, fashion, well, let's work with them to start a clothing line. If there are kids that are business, well, let's have an entrepreneur come in and talk to them or help them start a business. I do want to get a little bit more involved in that, but I would say that 90% of my extracurricular activities are focused on things that I can be doing back in Sierra Leone. I have a couple of guys back there who have helped me out a lot in Fambul, who grew up in the neighborhood that my family lives in. And so we're working with them to get them some scholarships to go abroad and study. One, just to see something outside of Sierra Leone, to get a little bit of a different perspective. But then also to just go and study at a great institution and hopefully bring their skills back to Sierra Leone.
Give me, and you can stop me at any time, but these are teachable moments, especially for Black Americans coming to Africa, especially if you get a passport. You think you are on. You are like, you got your passport. Can't nobody stop you. Can't nobody hold you down. Yeah, I'm still singing Diddy. When your parents, you had told me they were into politics. When you go back, is there ever any like pushback of difficulty of people judging you off what your parents do, or do you have a privilege where things might be easier and they know they can't take advantage of you? Like, how is that navigating both worlds? Because nobody would know you were from Sierra Leone if you didn't tell them, your accent here, but I know you can do, Creole, you can talk that talk. And so how is that just, going and operating in both worlds?
Yeah, there's definitely privilege going back, for sure. But people talk about privilege. It's this negative thing that like, people should be sorry for. Like, I don't necessarily think so. Like you have your privilege, that is what it is. But the real question is, what do you do with that, right? And so I know that I've been privileged to grow up here in the States and get a world-class education and work in finance and all of that. If I go back and people resent me just for having that, then I don't know, like that's on you, right? But what I can do, like I'm not going to focus on the hate, but what I can do is really think about how I can utilize my privilege to just help greater good, right? I have this, training in finance academically and professionally. And so I think about, okay, well, how do I leverage that to actually help people, right? Although I have the privilege, I don't think I'm better than people. It's really just, by luck that I was born to a family that was able to leave Sierra Leone when the war happened, grew up in the States. But there's a lot of people who didn't have that opportunity. So I 100% recognize that, yes, I do have this privilege. I'm not necessarily sorry for it, but I also recognize that the things that I have been able to accomplish are a big that are based off of this privilege that was really just given to me by luck, by nothing of my own doing, right? So I take that, I try to achieve as much as I can with it, and then I also try to do as much as I can for people who don't have that privilege to help them maximize their potential.
And you know what? There's some people who have the privilege from various countries, and they walk around like their stuff doesn't stink, or they say, "I never have to work." Yeah, I'm talking about you, Miss Bia. Yeah, I'm talking about. I'm talking. I'm back in Cameroon. I'm talking about you. There's certain people that don't have to work. And people, it puts this air where if you say your, family is in politics, that people say, oh, well, that person had it easy. They didn't have to work and you're working hard. They can go look on your LinkedIn, and you've put your brain and you're doing difficult work, especially not just as an immigrant, as a Black man, as an African, as just a person. You're dealing with some real things that, you make one mistake and they're coming to knock on your door and
Mhm.
it costs you your freedom. So do you have a book, halfway written, done of your own, or maybe it's complete and I just don't know, where we can kind of get the more inner workings of how your mind works and how you've navigated humility? That's what I'm going to keep pushing. And I don't know if he's single, ladies. I don't know. But, if he is, he can let you know or not let you know. But oh, the date doctor is in effect if he is. But the book, so they can get in your mind, like any plans for a book?
I've never thought about it actually. Maybe at some point down the line. I don't feel like I've achieved enough to write a book, but maybe what I've done so far in my journey and what I've been through is maybe, the first couple of chapters of it. But at some point, maybe. But my mind is just really focused on like executing and getting all the things that I want to be done accomplished. And then maybe at some point I'll sit and reflect once I've gotten through a lot of my list. Um, but yeah, no, it's not easy. It's a lot of work, but I have a supportive family. I think that's helped me, you know, through all of this and helped me maximize my potential. So yeah, it's a blessing.
Okay, so no book yet, and we got AI, so this thing could be done
That's
sooner.
true. That's true.
And
Yeah.
and I say that, and people think I'm joking, but this is just my mind works. Like if people like Martin Luther King or Malcolm, especially Malcolm, if he didn't start writing then, we would have never heard his perspective, his book. So we have to tell our own stories. If not, the story is told like a Steven Seagal tale, and you don't know what is true and what is not. But the books and even the podcast, and let's be honest, the podcast now can be a book because we have clients, they talk their book into the microphone, transcribe it, have two editors is my rule. Boom, put out as many books as you want, as long as we can copyright them. But yeah, I it's just the teaching. And just because you have one book doesn't mean you can have two or three and it be a series. And isn't that a
Mhm.
blessing? Let the people know you were talking about mentoring. If someone's listening right now and says, man, I want my son to be mentored by this guy, how do I get a hold of him? How do I tap in? Because I can talk to you all day. So I gotta leave them with something where they want to, connect back to you. So let the people know where to find you.
Yeah, just you can hit me on LinkedIn. You can send me a message to the Fambul Instagram account. If you create an account on Fambul, there's a button there where you can email. You can email me through that. So any one of those avenues work if you're trying to get in contact with me.
You guys have gotten the game. Like I said, I could be on this train all day because there's so much that I'm even still learning about Sierra Leone and tapping in, but that's why he has a platform. So since you made it this far, I thank you. Most of you are listeners, but please go to the YouTube and help us raise those numbers up. Like the game, comment. You can subscribe even on all platforms, wherever you are. But most importantly, if you do nothing else, share this game with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stretch the value of the USD. Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.